the career advice. Now sit back and relax while you get advice that will take you to the next destination in your career or business. And now, Katrina Brittingham. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of High Tea with me. You brought your favorite beverage, hopefully, and I am bringing the career advice. Today, we are going to be speaking on work life balance for small business owners. And this can also apply to you if you are a large business worker or own a large company, or if you have a job and you work for someone else. So, this topic is near and dear to me because I am a reformed workaholic. And I say, well, a recovering workaholic, let me put it that way. So, still have my moments where I just keep going and going and going. But if you continue that way, you're going to crash. It can also cause health issues, lack of sleep, all of those types of things. And these are all things that I have dealt with health issues. I've dealt with not being able to sleep because I'm just constantly raring to go and my mind is going and going and going. And so, as entrepreneurs, as small business owners, even as workers, we have to find that balance between our work and our life. And so, these are some tips that I have, 7 of them that will help you if you are like me and a recovering workaholic. Then you can get yourself together and have that balance. One thing that I will say to people, and this was said to me in the most basic way, and I was like, yeah, how about that? That work will be waiting for you tomorrow. There's always going to be work to do. So you have to have that balance so that you can be prepared and you can be your best when you're coming in to do that work. And I have with me my co-host who popped in. Ah, and it is, I'm pointing in the right direction
Yes, you are.
to my handsome, handsome co host, Dr. The Real Deal Love.
Hello, hello, hello. I am here. Uh, How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you? You had me worried.
Never worry, never worry. I'm making my way to you. Uh,
Oh, you made me think of that song. Making my way back to you, baby.
you're a songstress at heart. You're a songstress at heart. Nothing like a song to tell the
I
story.
really am.
Absolutely.
I that's one of my hobbies.
Yes. Music is my life.
I love it. All right, so we are going to jump in it, and I'm going to have Dr. Love jump in as he does and everything. So, the first item, first, number one, and I think that this is number one for a reason because it is the most important.
But
And it is,
before you give number one, you know my question that I have for you?
yes, yes.
What caused you to talk about tonight the balance between work, business, pleasure? What was the catalyst that brought this?
That is a good question, and I am going to talk about that.
Okay, okay,
So I'm not going to talk about right this second because
okay,
it's worked
okay.
in there. I
Let's
am going to talk about
we'll
that.
put a pin in it. Okay, we'll put a pin in it. No problem.
Yes.
All
So
right.
the first thing everyone needs to know is to leave work at a reasonable hour.
Hmm.
So if you work from 9 to 5, make sure you clock out at 5. If you work 8 to 4, try to keep your time within 40 hours if you can, but don't let it be too long over that time. Okay. If you're consistently working 12-hour days, guess what? That is too much, especially for us as business owners, because as we all know as business owners, we work a 7-day work week most of the time, which We're not supposed to. I have gotten myself to six. I've got myself to 6 days, but we work a whole lot more because we are handling everything and we're overseeing everything. So make sure that you have that time that you set aside to leave. This is what I've told my clients. This is what I've told workers. I started setting an alarm on my phone and on my calendar. Time to go home.
Hmm.
Work is done. As a reminder to let you know work is done. And this is even more crucial if you have a significant other at home, if you have children at home, because guess what? We work for them, we work for our family. And so, what drew me more to that, not the topic for the show, but what drew me more to that was when my nephew was murdered. Because I was planning and I had made a plan with him. I was like, this summer I'm going to come down there and I'm going to see you and everything like that. His birthday came. I was calling him, going to call him to say happy birthday and make arrangements to go down there in like a week or two. But guess what? That week or two was too late. That same day, I was getting a call from my brother that tragedy struck. And I started thinking, I had already started trying to give myself some balance just for my own sake, my own health sake, because I run. My friends would say you're a workaholic, and it was the running joke and the running gag. But then I thought about it, and I was like, I work so I can enjoy my family. I work so I can take care of my family. But if I'm so busy working that I don't take care of my family, don't see my family, then what's the point of all of this? And so I started pulling back some layers and was like, okay, let's make a balance because I don't want to have something like this to ever happen to me again.
Hmm.
And so those are the things that you should look at. Look at how many hours you should work, because if you look at how many hours you should work, you'll realize that you're putting in more, and more hours does not necessarily mean more productivity.
Hmm.
And I've learned that myself. Sometimes you be working and then you're sitting there like, oh, I'm no good. Or you're making more mistakes because your brain is tired, your eyes are tired. There are certain things in your body that will get tired to let you know. If your eyes, hence me wearing my glasses with my vain self, because I realized I'm like half the day, I'm like, I'm so tired. But it wasn't that I was tired, my eyes were tired looking at the screen, reading things. So your body will let you know when something is not right. And it's up to you to make the changes that you need to make in order to get where you need to be. Do you have anything to add to that?
I think it's such a great topic, and I just encourage our listeners to tell other listeners about our program, this platform, because Les Brown said something that I thought was interesting, and I subscribe to it for life. He said, "Man was not born to work for a living, but to live his making, and if he lives his making, it will make his living." So basically, we should live our making, something that we enjoy doing, something that
Mm-hmm.
we're having a blast at. I mean, I love what I do. I would do it for free, and the fact that you pay me makes it even better. And, I was just thinking about that in terms of working. When I opened my first salon, I got to the point where I was working, like you said, 6 days a week. And then I got to the point where I got good at what I was doing. And
Mm-hmm.
I was working, I would open the salon, I would be there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I was working a 4-day week and I was off Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
See, to create your schedule, you don't have to do a 5-day week. You don't have to do a 6-day week. You know what I'm saying? If you want to do 3 12-hour days, but notice you're not doing a week of 12 hours. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So you're actually scheduling in your productivity in the days that is more profitable. The salon business, you're busy the weekend. You're busy, always busier on the weekend than you are Monday and Tuesday. Most salons are closed Monday, you know. So what
Mm-hmm.
business you're in, you want to know your peak performance. You want to know your peak time. You want to know your season. Okay. A Undertaker was saying. Every business has its season. So you figure, as an undertaker, you said, what is an undertaker's busy season? I mean, people expire when they expire. He said, no, no, we even have our busy season.
Oh,
And the
yes.
and the busy season was around the first of the year. People say, I want to see the new year come in. And then they, I'm willing to leave, you know. So we have a decision on how we want to run our business and how much time we put into our businesses, because you hit the nail on the head. If you are working, if you're on your 15, 16 hour, I guarantee you, you're not productive.
Yes.
You're going in circles. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's a sign that it's time to quit. So it's important to understand, create your business, because we're wearing so many hats in our business. So we've got to do a little bit more, but you've got to have those vacation days. You got to just come in and say, no, Monday and Tuesday, vacation. I'm on vacation. You got to take that time, because it's going to make you so much more profitable. It's going to make you more effective at
Mm-hmm.
what you do. And your bottom line, see, the better you are, the more you charge, the more people respect you, and your economic experiences climb, because you're able to price at a premium. But not just pricing. People say, I paid it and she was worth it.
Exactly.
She was worth
Exactly.
every penny of it.
Exactly. And that's the truth. It makes you more valuable to your clients because you're fresh.
Yes.
When you are fresh, you do things a little bit better. And so that actually goes into the second thing when you're at work, because yes, the vacation time is great, but you have to take care of yourself in between that time. And
Hmm.
so just taking a 5 or 10 minute break during the day, and not just one time a day, maybe, throughout the day. Like I have a rule: if I work like for at least 4 hours, I'm taking a break. I was like, okay, it's time to get up and walk,
Hmm.
because that helps get my brain fresh.
Hmm.
How many times have you sat at your desk and just been frustrated? It's like, oh, I just can't get this. If you take that time and just for 5 minutes, just walk away from that thing, walk around a block a couple times, come back in, what you were seeking is right there.
Right there. That's a fact.
And that's just because you're so inundated. You're so, focused on whatever it is that you're trying to get done. And then when you're doing that, frustration sets in because you can't find what you're looking for.
Hmm.
I found also I take a break in the morning, um, before I start work. So I don't just get up and come into work, at least not now. I was doing it before my nephew and everything like that. And I'm just getting back to it is I walk for an hour in the morning. A lot of people, oh, I can't go to the gym. I don't do the gym. I even have a gym membership that I actually do need to cancel because I don't see myself going back. I just don't. Um, you have to exercise for yourself, because everybody's, oh, the gym, and they dread the gym, and they're sitting there with this membership that they had for years. With me, I found what my thing is: if I go for a walk, I have to see myself going somewhere. Maybe that's the
Hmm.
entrepreneurial mindset. I have to see myself going somewhere, even if I'm taking the same route. I'm walking on the street, well, on a sidewalk. It gets me when people walk in the street. Um,
Right. I'm not gonna tell you I walk in the street.
because that's where the cars are, and you're walking in the street. But
Yeah.
that's another topic. Um, but I do a walk, and even though I know my destination is back home, I have a goal in mind. I have a destination, and that works better for me. I actually lost 70 pounds just walking, and it wasn't necessarily speed walking. It was just walking. I would just take my little path, and I would walk. And as I started out small, because guess what? We're all not as fit as we want to be. And
Hmm.
so the walk got a little longer, even in the same time frame, because you get to be healthier, you're naturally move faster and things like that. And I just take that walk in the morning, and that helps clear out the cobwebs from the night before, what might have been on your mind before you went to sleep. Those type of things of self-care. You'll feel more energetic during the day. It helps get your blood pumping, and things like that. It helps your appetite because I used to be notorious for not eating in the morning,
Mhm.
which is your fuel, which again, having that work life balance, don't just get up and roll out of bed, wash your face and everything, and then sit plop in front of the computer. That's one of the things that gets us as entrepreneurs, especially when we work out of our homes.
Mhm.
And I started working out of my home from the time I started the business, as everybody knows the same story that I've started out virtual. And I used to sit at my desk, wash my face and everything. I'm like, oh, I'll eat breakfast right after I do this. Well, that never came. Oh, I'll eat lunch after this happens, but that never came. And I would start my day at like 5 in the morning and it would be dark. And I'm working, working, working. And you see the sun come through the window and I look up because now the light is more intense. When it gets dark, then that light is more intense in the building. And I'm looking and I look outside and it's dark. Now, this wasn't during the fall. This was during the summer with the longest days. So I would be working from 5 p.m. until like 9 o'clock at night. That was way too much. And so I had to learn to put in those breaks and put in those break times and take those times for me. I would even have friends like, call me at 5 o'clock. Call me when you get off of work.
Mhm.
Just to remind me it's time to get off.
Yes.
It's time to get off of work. I did start bringing in because I used to leave my cell phone in my room and everything like that, and I have a million people calling me um, on my cell phone. It's like, oh, I couldn't get to you. I couldn't get to you for days. That's actually not good, and you don't want to have someone be used to not being able to get a hold of you because then something could happen to you, and they're like, oh, she's fine, and she's not.
Right.
I had that happen with one of my uncles. He was a good evening, good evening, good evening.
Well, well,
I had that happen with one of my uncles. He was an entrepreneur. He would work all the time. We would call, he wouldn't answer. So then it had been like a couple days, and we're like, wait a minute. So we're calling. We're like, oh, that's just him. Da 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 da. Well, he had passed away in his house,
in his house. Yes. Yes.
and they found him because after a while body starts to not be so right.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so it was just like, wow, we should have paid, it was just like, well, we just assumed that he was that way, and we were programmed like, oh, he'll call us when he gets around to it. And a couple of my family was like, I had a key if I had just went in. But it was just that that's the way it was. It's like the boy who cries wolf. If you cry wolf all the time, the one time it is a wolf, nobody's going to believe you. And so you want to set yourself up. And I know I didn't do this to be morbid, but you have to tell real stories of what can happen if you don't put in the safeguards for yourself.
Mhm.
If you don't have those things in place for you, because it really comes down to your health, it comes down to your life, it comes down to your lifestyle, hence work life balance. The
Right.
opposite of life is to not be alive. So you have to have those real instances and those real, stories, those real aha moments, that you think about when it comes to your work and your life. Do you have any comments before we go to number 3?
Well, and what you just said happens more than people realize. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm,
I had the same thing with one of my clients. My brother was in the house. He had expired, and it was like, well, he doesn't come out, that often. Maybe he's in Las Vegas. You know what I'm saying? We were on it was a 2 week visit, and it was the second week, and she was still like, I should go. And she said the exact same thing. If I had just followed my first mind. You know,
mhm,
how to follow my first mind. So I think what we're addressing is saying to the entrepreneur, create a life that works for you. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
A life that works for you. Katrina, I happen to be like you, where I'm. My day starts at 5 o'clock. I'm doing that 5 o'clock walk in the morning. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm doing in the morning. Well, maybe that five doesn't work for you. Maybe nine works for you. Maybe midday,
Mhm.
maybe later in the day works for you. You don't have to do five, but you have to create a lifestyle that works
Mhm.
for you and works for your business. You know what I'm saying? So that you're enjoying your business. I can't stress that. I can't stress
Mhm.
that enough. To really enjoy your business, because people know as a business owner when you're short with them, when you're not fully engaged in the service that you're rendering. People know that. You know,
Mhm.
sense it. So we can't stress that enough. Create a life that's working for you.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Someone else would say, well, that doesn't work for me. It doesn't have to work for you. As long as it's working for you, that's all that matters. Okay. All right, Miss Katrina. Let's
Right. I mean, and here's the thing. We say we do the morning, maybe the evening is better for you, or maybe taking that break in the middle of the day to take your walk.
yes.
It's all about you, and that, like, I am a systems person. Everybody who knows me knows that, um and everything like that. So when I said I put a schedule out of what to do, that works for me. Setting an alarm on my phone, it works for me. That might not be what works for you. Putting a post-it on your computer might work for you. Hello, Sean. It's
Hello.
good to see you. We have people coming from all over. We have LinkedIn, we have Facebook, we have YouTube. So,
And we welcome
hello,
everyone.
everyone. And we have our broadcast network that we have people coming in on, and they're coming in and they're engaging. So, awesome sauce. The third one, because I want to kind of get through these, and we're almost at the top of the half hour, um, is just say no to excessive work. That goes back into one and two. But it's whether you've been in business for years or you're a startup, knowing when to say no, and
Mm,
sometimes knowing when to say no to yourself about work can prevent you from taking on more work than you have time for. And we as entrepreneurs do that, especially those of us who are in the service industry, the ones that provide services. We tend to take on a lot. Okay. We find ourselves struggling with workload. We overbook ourselves with clients because we just want to help everyone. But guess what? That's what lists are for. That's what your network is for. That's why I always tell people there's room at the table for everyone. You have a network. I my some of my greatest colleagues are fellow business coaches or career coaches, and they are there for, look, I got 10 clients. Can you take two of them? Because I just don't have time to take all of them.
mm,
Guess what? You're not losing out, because if you take those 10 clients, you may not be able to handle it, and someone will end up with poor service, which will do more damage to your business than farming them out.
mhm,
Okay. And there are all kinds of agreements that you can go into. You can, take a referral fee. I don't take referral fees. My thing is it'll come back in some way, shape, or form, and everything. But nothing wrong with those who do have
mhm.
that. But that's what you have the network for. So you're not taking on too many clients. So you're not bogged down. So you're not booked from 9 to 10 o'clock at night. You have to put those things and those safeguards in place for you so that you can have that peace of mind, so that you can love your work. Sometimes people will tend to stop liking what they do just because they're overworked.
Yes.
We look at the other side, was like, oh, I'm not getting clients, I hate this. But there's a flip side to that. You can be so successful and so full of clients that
Mhm.
it takes things, you know, takes out the pleasure because you're so busy working. Another area
Burnout,
is,
burnout, burnout. It happens all the
yeah.
time. Burnout.
Another area is hiring in workers, contractors, having a system in place for that. These are all things that I had to do. Refer people out, hire contractors, or hire workers or employees to help me get things done. Some people are not good at organizing. You can hire a contractor for that. You can hire a coach for that. You can hire a executive assistant, a virtual assistant for that. I've had my share of virtual assistants. Um, they would do so well that they would move on to bigger and better things. I'm like, wait a minute, like you're holding my life um
Yeah.
here. But they all help to keep things in order. And I never forget the first time I got a virtual assistant. And it was just to take the calls for my business.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so scared, as most entrepreneurs are, because this is your baby.
Your baby.
And to hand your baby to someone else is scary.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a physical baby, whether it's your business baby, it's a scary thing, because it's like, well, are they going to take care of my baby the way I take care of my baby?
It's
And
a
so,
reflection. It's a reflection on you. You
yes,
reflection.
yes. And it made a world of difference. Just the person handling the calls, making the appointments. And it got to the point I was like, wow, why didn't I do this sooner? But those are the things that you need to do. We are going to take a quick 30-second break. After I finish saying what I'm saying, and I got tongue tied, and then we're going to go to number 4.
Okay. We'll be
See you
back.
in a few.
Are you looking to advance your career? Your resume is the single most important factor in advancing your career. It's the best way to show you have what it takes. Introducing Venture Ready LLC. We help professionals see beyond the limits of their current circumstances. We will significantly increase your chances of landing your dream job. We offer the following: career coaching, executive coaching, interview readiness, job search strategies, career transition coaching. Get in touch with us today. Venture Ready LLC, the complete package for any career path you take.
All right, all right. So that was Venture Ready LLC, which is the parent company for Venture Ready Broadcasting Network, and also the other things that you saw, and as well as the Executive GPS conference. So as you can see, there's a lot going on. So
I said,
yes,
well, it said for any path that you choose.
any path that you choose, I'm here to help you.
That's right.
Whether you're an executive, a busy executive, I have some tips to help you get yourself together and get your things in order. If you are going the career track, I help you with that. If you're looking to transition industries or transition out of corporate into a business, I got the package for you.
Mhm.
So that's how all of that works. And so you see, with all those different things, it's not possible for Katrina to do all of those things. As amazing as I think I am, there is no way that
Mhm.
I can do all of those things. So, number 4 is schedule some time for fun.
Okay.
And that finally leads me to how I came up with this topic.
Okay.
So, the weekend came and I wanted to go out on Friday. Couldn't make that because my friend has his own thing and that just didn't work. So my friend comes and was like, all right, we're going out. You said you wanted to go somewhere. And it was early in the morning. It was like 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, where are we going at 9 o'clock in the morning? Saturday. But he said, we're going out. Don't ask no questions. So I had to let the thoughts run, but I had to keep my mouth shut. Hop in the car. We're driving for hours. And we end up at Great Adventure.
Ah.
And I'm like, wow, I have not been to Great Adventure in like ever.
Mhm.
Um, and he asked me, he's like, well, when is the last time you've been here? I said, well, I was here as an adult, but it's been some time.
Okay.
And he was like, oh, it's the last day and everything. It rained.
Ooh. but was it a great adventure?
It was. It rained and it was freezing. Okay,
Okay.
so they had shut the rides down and everything. It was just like, okay, what are we gonna do? So he's like, okay, we have to find some shelter. So we go to the arcade and have a ball, a literal ball. Okay,
Mhm.
the young kids, the adults, everything we were on, people wound up coming on because it was just like we had so much fun. And so I get to people was like, oh my God, this must be really fun. I think we made things more fun than,
Yeah.
than it probably really was, just our personalities together, and had a blast. By the time we got to the car, we were both freezing,
Mhm.
but we had a blast. And I was thinking about that for days. I was just thinking, thought about it that day, that night, the next day. Um, he talks to me this morning. Was like, I really had fun on Saturday, and I was like, I did too. And
Mhm.
so again, I always do my research before the show to try to get the show topic. Sometimes I'm a little earlier at providing the topic than others, but Ty, I was thinking of starting a small breakfast shop. My credit is average and I don't have a lot of startup money. What avenues are available to me? Hmm, that is a good question. And I am going to answer that question. So, number one, there are grants out there. I don't know when you said you're thinking about it. There are grants out there that will help you if you go searching for grants. You might want to hire a business coach to help you with that. There are also startup capital that is in the form of loans. You can also bootstrap, which means that you fund yourself for the time being. If you want to start a shop, some people start their breakfast shop out of their home
At
until they
home.
build the capital,
Yes. Yes.
and then they move out into a building. What you want to consider too is that we are in the post-COVID era where a lot of restaurants are doing delivery. So how are you going to handle that? Um, will you remain virtual and just have a delivery service of your food as opposed to having a brick and mortar? Because what will you do if they shut down the city again? So these are the type of things that you kind of want to consider when you're thinking about those things. And I gave you some small things, but they're really, really big. So if you want to take the time to discuss that, you can reach out to me, info@ventureready.net, and then we can have a larger discussion because you're going to have a whole plan with starting this business so that you can put some things together so that you can even go for those loans and grants or
Mhm.
for funding if you want to do it that way. But you have to sit down and consider um, everything, the climate, where you are, the best places if you have a brick and mortar to have a breakfast shop. Because if you have it in a place where people are not readily thinking about breakfast, then you might not do as well. So there's a lot that you have to consider with
Location,
that.
location, location. Ooh,
Yes, yes,
that's it.
absolutely. But that was an excellent question, Ty. Keep the questions coming, Ty, and everyone else, because
Mm.
that's what we're here for. If you have any business related questions, we are here to answer it, topic or no topic, because we're here for you. All right. And so, number five, yes, yes, yes. Number five is all in my warehouse. Create a to do list.
Mhm.
Now, me being that systems person, you need to have a to do list for the day and a to do list for the week.
Mhm.
Sometimes the to do list for the day will spill over to the next day and the next day because this is what you're planning to do. But as we know in business, everything doesn't always go as planned.
That's right.
Sometimes things that you might think is going to take you a few minutes or a few hours might take you longer than that. So have a to do list. And when you have a to do list, it'll help you to because you can check things off. I did that. I did that. If you have a to do list with 5 things on it, and I'm just going to go with five, and
Mhm.
you do 3 of those things, and it's 5 o'clock, guess what? You have done a lot.
Yes, you have.
And so that's what you want to do. If you have a to do list, number one, it'll show you all that you've done. And then it's like, okay, I can leave these other two until the next day. Because remember that work is still going to be there tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the end of the world that you didn't get all five things done.
Right. It just gets rolled over to the next day.
Yes. Now, if you make that to do list and you just get one thing done, depending on how big that one thing is, maybe then you need to look at how you're managing your time and how to be a little more efficient. So it does two things. Number one, it shows you what you got done so that if you have one or two things left over, you can say, okay, I'm accomplished. But if you are not getting those things done, then maybe you need to look at the time that you're spending on things and how efficiently you're doing it. Or maybe you're putting a really, really big item there and maybe you are accomplished and couldn't get the other four things done because you had to get that one big thing done. So those are the things that you want to consider so you can prioritize.
That's the
Now,
word, prioritize. That's right.
yes,
That's the word. You got to prioritize that list. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
The most important things at the top, and then as they go down in terms of priority, you've got those big items done, and then as you trickle down the list, you know, they're smaller in priority. That's the word.
exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. And that's absolutely true. You put the most important thing on the top of the list. The most important, and you might find out that you're putting the most important thing at the bottom of the list, and so you're not getting done your major priority.
Hmm.
Um, some people are okay at multitasking. Some people are good at multitasking. Some people cannot multitask at all. I am the queen of multitasking. Um, I don't even know how it happened, but I am. I'm never just doing one thing
Hmm.
at a time. Never. I don't even know if I can function if I'm just doing one thing at a time. I think it's probably how my brain works because if I'm doing one thing, I'm thinking about something else anyway. That's, that could be a good thing and that could be a bad thing. So if you're trying to prioritize and you don't prioritize well, number one, that to do list will let you know. Having that schedule will let you know.
Hmm.
And if you're great at multitasking, maybe you're multitasking too much. So those are some things that you can consider with that as well.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Number 6. Ooh, we're working that list. See, I'm a list person. List girl, I got numbers for you. Leave work at work. Can I get an amen on that? Leave work at work.
Yes, she can. Yes, she can. Yes, she can.
And because we are in an age of information. And what I mean by that is everyone has one of these. If you can see it, ooh, smartphone.
Yes.
Can't see it because of my little background thing. I'm put it right here. Everyone has one of those. Okay. And I have come to be more dependent on my smartphone than I ever thought. I came up in the era where phones first came out. We didn't have phones, we had pay phones. We had beepers. Yes, I'm dating myself. Oh
Mhm.
my
Yes,
God.
yes, yes.
Um, and when the first smartphone came out, I was like, no, you can keep that. I don't want that.
Hmm.
Touchscreen, I don't want that. I had the flip phone. I loved my flip phone. I used my flip phone the until the company threatened me. And I still was like, I'm still, are you gonna shut my service? Oh, if I keep my flip phone, I'm gonna keep my flip phone. I kept my flip phone until my flip phone broke. And they was like, we don't even make flip phones anymore.
You were die hard, a die hard.
They have them now, but they stopped making them because they wanted people to go and move on to the smartphone. And I
Hmm.
reluctantly went to a smartphone. But now everything is in it. My work, my home, everything is in this, my work life, my home life. And
Every.
so because we're in that age, you can get just because you get off of work doesn't mean you're off of work. And I have been guilty of this.
Mhm.
I'm off of work. I'm at an event with friends or family, and they're talking to me. I'm like, click, 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 boop, 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 boop. And they're like, what are you doing? Oh, I just got to check this email.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you're present, but you're not in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
What that does to you is you're still at work, you're still in a work mindset. So even though you're out and you schedule time for fun, you're not having the fun because you're in the phone, you're still working.
Still working.
So you, in order to truly enjoy that fun time, you have to put your phone away. And I literally, when I went out on Saturday, had my phone in my pocket the whole time. I didn't even think to pull it out.
Mm-hmm. Good. Good for you.
And I sat there and I'm like, wow. And so I'm thinking about the topic for the day, and I'm like, and I was thinking, I said, dang, I really needed that. I really needed that balance where I wasn't thinking about work. I wasn't thinking about, I was just in the moment and I was
Mm-hmm.
just having fun. And I credit my friend for doing that. Even when they, even when he said, all right, we're going, don't ask me no questions. I'm the queen of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Soon as he said that, a million questions was,
Popped into your mind. Popped into your mind.
we're driving for hours. And I'm like, where are we going that we're driving so
Just
far?
right.
Oh my gosh. Like a million questions. But I was obedient.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes ladies or a man, whomever, you have to be obedient to what your friend or your husband or your significant other says to you. If they say just we going, put the phone down, da da da, do it. That's part of the work life balance. And what made me even start taking seriously, because with my friends it was a running joke, with my family it was a running joke of how much I worked, is when my friend came into my life and would come over and be like, "You're still working? What?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "What do you mean I'm still working?" I look at the time, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I am. I'm still working." These things, you can't have a relationship if if you don't have time for it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to give yourself time. You have to give yourself that quality time. You have to give your relationship that quality time. And that's all about work life balance. Again, that's why, I said Dr. Love was perfect, because we do business so much, we work so much, that, and think about the work relationship so much, that a lot of times we neglect our personal relationships
Right.
outside of work.
Yeah. That's so important. And I was just thinking, I added something to that list because I'm a list guy as well. And in business, you definitely have a list of things to do. And then in my life, I also added a list of things not to do. So
Ooh.
there's a list of things to do, and then there's a list of things not to do.
Mm-hmm.
So on that list of things not to do, tonight we'll start out with don't allow your work to consume you. Don't allow
Mm-hmm.
business to consume you. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That is so important because, like we said, one lady said to me, I don't have time for love. You have to take time.
Mm-hmm.
You schedule time. You have to make
Mm-hmm.
time. You know what I'm saying? Because then and only then are you balanced.
Mm-hmm.
We're not balanced. If you're overworking, if you're oversleeping, if you're overeating, if you're over anything, if you're
Mm-hmm.
overscheduling, okay, you've got to make sure you're in balance. You have a list of things to do and a list of things not to do.
Right. My thing is, if you don't have time for love, then you don't have time for yourself, because part of loving someone else is loving yourself.
That's right.
And a lot of people who say they don't have time for love don't really take care of themselves the way they should.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I might get hate emails or whatever about it, but it's the truth. Because again, I had to take a stock at my life, and at the time when I was saying I didn't have time for love, I didn't have time for this, I wasn't taking care of myself properly because I was working so many hours.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't taking care of myself properly because I was so inundated with the tasks and what I felt were the tasks at hand, what I felt was important. That when things happen in life with friends and family, and that person that you were like, oh, I'm gonna see you, is no longer there for you to see, you really start to take stock.
Yes.
And so I know that's your client, but I was like, that's what I was, they need to really take a look at what they're spending their time on,
Yes.
because you spend time on the things you value, and that's just it. You make time for what you value.
What you value.
So now maybe she don't have time because maybe she don't want love.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing to consider too.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, hey, to each his reach.
That's right. That's it. To each his own.
But 9 times out of 10, that person saying don't have time for love, they want love.
Yeah. And it starts with self love. That's, you know what I'm saying. That's so important, to love you, to love yourself enough where you understand, business is to serve. You know what I'm saying? And you can only serve out of a cup that's full. That's the best serving. You know what I'm saying? If you're at the bottom of the cup of coffee, you got dregs down. Drinking the bottom of the coffee is not serving off. It's not like sipping off the top of the coffee. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So self love, and getting yourself where you need to be, where, you're inspired. I can't stress that enough. I do things just to inspire myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was out the other day and I was looking. I said I need to get some socks. I mean, I wanted the right socks because I Goldberg closed here in Philadelphia. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I would get my socks from. And then I went in Lowe's and they had these great socks. I mean, they were, who makes them? One of these designer socks, and it was like, $10 a pair. I loved them. I was inspired. I went down there and bought like 6 pairs of them. I was inspired. You know what it's like to wake up in the morning and put on a nice, comfortable sock that's just hugging your foot. You know, I want to be
Mm-hmm.
inspired. You know what I'm saying? So do things to inspire
Yes.
yourself. You know what I'm saying? So when
Yes.
you're running your business, when you're going on to your job, I mean, whatever it is, I can't stress that enough. Do something for self, so that when you're doing something for others, they can they can feel the joy. You know what I'm saying? I want people to say that. One lady said that to me, one time when I rendered a service to her. She said to me, she said, I came here and I expected a certain level of professionalism. She said, but you exceeded my expectation. See, that's what you want. You want your clients to come in and say, you exceeded my expectations. And you're not going to exceed expectations if you burn out, if you frustrated, your home life ain't working. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to exceed expectations. So that's the reason we're on our platform tonight, because we want businesses not to survive, but to thrive.
Yes. And that's what we're all about. That's
Thrive.
what we're all about.
Hmm.
And see, it's funny because you did number 7. Take time for yourself, not just for your family. So do
Mm.
something for you. And I'm gonna go on to what you said about thriving versus surviving. And it's funny because just saw a infograph about that yesterday. I just happened to stumble upon it on my favorite professional site. And when I looked at what was under it, under surviving, I was like, whoa. Because I would tell people there's nothing wrong with surviving, but you want to get to thriving. But when I looked at what was under it, no, you want to be in thriving mode,
Yes.
because surviving is not being able to sleep because you're thinking about what's going on, worried about tomorrow, worried about how you're going to get things done.
Hmm.
A thriving is getting it done,
Hmm.
sleeping well at night, eating well, taking care of self. When you're surviving, you're barely eating, you're not taking care of yourself. And I was like, whoa, wow. But you're surviving because you're waking up the next day.
Hmm.
And I was just like, I never thought about that. So I had to change, even though God gave me thriving, and last year it was thriving, from surviving to thriving, and then it was thriving through uncertainty
Mm-hmm.
because we were in an uncertain time, and we had to thrive with that. And it's having that confidence that everything is, that you have all the tools that you need,
Mm-hmm.
or that if you don't, you have the resources to get to that.
Mm-hmm.
So thriving is just that, it's thriving. Surviving is just that. You have people who survive every day, but they live on the street. And that came into my mind. I was like, wow, I never thought about that. They're surviving too.
Mm-hmm.
So to get out of that fear mode, that survival mode, and getting into that thriving mode. And one of those things to do that is what we discussed today. And to wrap that up in a nice, neat little bow, because the average worker in the US spends 14.4 hours on leisure and personal care each day. This includes sleeping and eating. When you consider that we're supposed to sleep 8 hours out of the day, how that leaves you around what, like 6 hours
Mm-hmm.
for yourself, or for the activities that you have with your family. In that time, you should at least have an hour to yourself. At least. Even if it's sitting and reading a book. I It's funny because someone picked up a book that I have around, and they were like, "What's this?" And I was like, "Oh, it's my adult coloring book. It has flowers in it and stuff." And I always liked the color, and I used to get the little kitty ones and everything. And I saw that they had adult ones, and with going through the things that I went through, I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't colored in years.
Okay.
And I was just so stressed out. I just went and bought a coloring book and some markers, and I just started coloring.
Mm-hmm.
I took an hour out of my day and did that, and it just put me at ease. Now
Mm-hmm.
that might not be your thing. Whatever your thing is, as long as it's healthy,
Mm-hmm.
um, take that hour just to do that, to clear your mind, to
Mm-hmm.
put you at ease, to calm yourself.
Um,
And then go back to the kids screaming, "Mommy, Daddy!" You know. Then go back to the husband. Honey, did you see my socks?
mm-hmm. And
You
new
can go-
socks that I just brought.
yes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've had that question. I'm like, what? It's right there. Where? Right there. So you can go back to that
Yep.
after.
After that, you know what you know what I wish someone had told me, and I'm sharing this, but I'm saying it to myself as well. I wish someone had a told me when I first started in business, not that your business is going to succeed, but your business has already succeeded. It-
Hmm.
You've already arrived at success. You are already thriving.
Hmm.
You start out thriving. See, now that's going into the spiritual aspect of it. But you've got to begin to understand. You got to begin to understand that this, when it comes down to business, when it comes down to things that you're doing, there are people waiting for you. There are people standing waiting to aid you in your mission.
Yes.
There are people waiting to invest in your company. I remember when I was developing real estate, that was one of the things that I did, developing real estate. I called a company from New York. I saw an ad in the New York Times. I called a company in New York City. This guy came down from New York City to visit me in Philadelphia, and I'll never forget it. He said to me, he said, Norman's going to call you. I waited. I said, Norman didn't call me. Then I got a call 6 o'clock Saturday morning, and you could tell he had money. He said, Hey, Johnson, this is Norman Dansker here. You know, I mean, waiting to invest money with. You understand what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So I wish someone had said that to me, and I'm saying that to you, and I've got to remind myself of that even now. There are people waiting to take your hand and lead you into the
Hmm.
success of your business.
Hmm.
You've got to stop fearing. You've got to have that conversation with yourself. You know what I'm saying? I cannot fear anything. Fear is false expectations appearing real.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to stay focused. You got
Mm-hmm.
to continue to look for those who are looking for you. People are seeking you. I'm seeking success, but success is seeking you.
Yes.
Continue to look for it, and you will find it. It's waiting. I guarantee you. I wish someone had told me that, and I'm reminding myself of that even now at the next level because I'm going to the next level. Each level, there are a set of circumstances that you'll have to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
You're more than capable of overcoming them. God wouldn't have given them to you if you weren't capable of overcoming.
And
Okay.
that is so true. I like that. We are at the top of the hour already.
Yes.
Um, I have to. I keep. I have to glance for that time. Um, but you said a mouthful, and it's funny because I say it in a different way to my clients, because a lot of them are um career focused, trying to start a business or what have you. I
Mhm.
tell them, I said, what's your vision? Write out your vision and your mission. And I tell people to do that whether they're in a career working for corporate or whether you have a business. Why? Because you're supposed to have a vision for yourself. Where do you see yourself?
Who do you see yourself?
What is your mission?
Yes.
What is your brand? Whether you work for someone else or whether you work for a business, I say when you're in a professional industry, it's your professional brand. People like to call it your personal brand. I was like, nope, I have a different brand personally than I do professionally, a different
Okay.
brand with my family than I do at work. I do. I mean, and everyone does. But what is it that you want people to say about you when you walk away? And part of that is number one, writing it. Because when you write it, it becomes real.
Yes.
When you write it, other people can see it. And there is a Bible principle for that. And I quote it all the time. And I said, the Bible says this. And I was like, these principles are key and they have been throughout eternity. And large corporations do it. Companies that don't believe in God, companies that do, they all do the same thing. They write the vision and
Right.
they make it plain. And the scripture says, so those that see it will run to perform it. So once you write the vision, you're not even the one that's supposed to be performing it. And that is when that hit me because I was doing
Hmm.
so much. And God would keep sending people to help me and different things. And I wasn't looking at it like that. It was just, I gotta do. And he's like, no, they need to do because they caught the vision.
Hmm.
You just need to be the vehicle by which they run to perform it by providing what you wrote.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, providing them with that vision, providing them with that mission. And so when you were saying that there are people that are waiting to perform
Waiting.
your vision,
Yes.
they're waiting. So if you've been waiting to start a business, write your vision and your mission statement.
Hmm.
Put it up on a website. You don't have to have a fancy website with 100 pages. You can have a one pager. You can have a two pager. When I started, I created my first website for my business by myself.
Hmm.
I was proud of that thing.
Hmm.
People said it was professional. I held on to that thing until they stopped servicing that website and then I had to pay somebody to do
Great.
it.
Okay.
But the vision was there and
Yes.
people saw it and they ran to perform it. And not just investors, clients will run to perform that vision.
Hmm. That's
They'll
important.
come to you because it's like, oh, you have something that I need.
Hmm.
Well, what are they doing? They're performing the vision,
Hmm.
they're performing the mission, they're allowing you to carry out that mission. And so when you go and you think of that and you do that, then you know that you are thriving.
Hmm.
And
So
go ahead before we wrap up.
yeah, that's important. And I just wanted to share. When you write your mission and your vision, you don't have to labor over it because you can always go in and revise it. You're going to see something. The first time you write it out, it's going to be good. You're going to come back and you're going to get something. You're going to add to it. You're going to critique it. So just be open to get it on paper and then you're going to fine tune it as you go. So don't try to get it all done perfectly the first time. Just get it done, okay, and then continue to move on with it. So I just wanted to get that in there.
Yes. Well, everything is a work in progress. It
Yes.
really is. And you're going to be working on that vision and that mission your entire time having that business. It is going to evolve
Yeah.
because where your business was when you first started 10 years from now is not going to be in the same place. So, or 5 years or 2 years is not going to be in the same place. So you are going to be constantly working that vision. So that's an excellent point. And we are over. So we are going to say adieu. And if you have any questions in between that time, you can always send us a message. If you have a topic you want us to speak on, we can do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And ciao.
Goodbye.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of High Tea with Me. To be a guest on the show, contact us via email info@ventureready.net. Thank you again and see you next week.